shows that
It
it's
looks different.
a manicured, you know, so so I think it identifies it well and still has the access because it's still locked down there. We didn't put mulch, you know, where people want to walk. So it was great. The purpose of that is the two demonstration projects are to find areas that will get good visibility to let people know that there are some things being done around the lake and that they can do some things on their own also to help the erosion. The erosion and stormwater runoff, things that are going into the lake are attributed 74% of the pollutants that are going into the lake. So that's why these erosion projects are pretty important, and so getting the people to see that, you know, they too can do some things like this around their property. The other things that are important, I've got a list. We've met with David Crosby out there a few times. He's been very, very nice about you know, things that are being done around the lake. I believe, I'm not sure if he's done work on the boat ramp road yet or not. I mean, do you know if he's done anything there?
My question on that is, it's in question as to whether we still own that. The state owns that, don't they?
We met with Fish and Game out there.
So my feelings are, Fish and Game, the state, they should be taking care of that.
Yeah.
We shouldn't be.
Okay. David said that it's something that he does normally, you know, so this was not going to be anything out of the ordinary. You know, he grades it.
But I don't agree with that.
Okay. So, you know, when we met with Fish and Game, DES, and David, it's in the fall, I believe. And David was just scheduled to be doing some grading out there anyhow. And so that's, you know, because nobody really knows who owns it. You know, we've tried to research it, and
we can find out easy enough.
That's what we've come up with. So part of this grant is it's a 60-40 grant. 60% is paid by the DES, EPA, and the other is through volunteer work. Everything that we did on Saturday and all the work that the lake hosts have been doing, and Elizabeth can tell you how much that is. Lead monitors, things like that. There's a lot of, all that adds to the match. The other thing that adds to the match is any work that the town does within the watershed along there. We can add that towards, you know, he can estimate a cost of, you know, what it would cost him to do you know, things that he's normally doing, and that can all help towards our match too. And that will be very beneficial because that certainly takes up a lot more dollars than a few volunteer hours.
Yep. But to be clear, besides a little bit of administrative overhead, which we do absorb, based on Kelly's time, pretty much all the work that gets done should be stuff within the watershed that our employees are doing anyway.
That's ours.
Yeah, all the way up and around and everywhere within all of that area.
They need to wear that.
Right. And we get credited, I'm just saying this is tax everybody's benefit. Any of those hours the town gets credit towards the 60-40 grant split. And also any hours by any volunteers, folks that are in the Lake Association, which put in lots and lots of hours.
Right. So that's the goal, is, you know, and lots of people. Yes, is to not have to put any cash in, and you know, and which we won't. You know, it's all through the in-kind match is what they call this. The watershed, I don't know, it's huge. So I don't know if you can see it quickly, just so you get an idea of what area we're talking. The watershed is anything that that's the watershed right there. So the blue is the lake. Everything around there is the watershed. So anything that happens that's negative in that area eventually finds its way into the lake. So, excuse me. So, Joyce, did you want to mention a few things?
Yeah, just real briefly, there are more than 20 people who have been looking for weeds that are invasive weeds for something on the order of 15 or 16 years. We've been water testing for at least 20 years, and actually did some water testing before that. And this is where we found that our lake was no longer oligotrophic, it is now mesotrophic, which is one of three. There are three stages. We don't want it to get any worse because no lakes are in trouble. All lakes age, and our lake is aging faster than it should be at this point. We have people who do the water testing and people who drive the samples to Concord so that it can be tested. That's paid for by the Lake Association. The volunteer work, we even have the volunteer boat that Rosemary Dowling does, takes our testers out in, and then we have the Lake Host program where a lot of people do contribute money to it so that we can pay our young people, and they're all our young people, to greet people at the lake and explain to them why it is we're there and why we are hoping that they wash their boat before they change lakes and so on and so forth. So, and we do also have volunteer lake hosts of this significantly older variety than the people. But when we did the nutrient loading study, we had over 20 volunteers walking around our whole watershed and talking to people about it. There's a lot more that can be done on that level. We're working on education in order to be able to have people know why it is that we are seeking to have people do what they can on their own property. And that's what the demonstration project isn't going to solve the problem. It's really to show people what it is that we do. And so there's a lot of work that's gone into it. A lot has been done already, and we hope to have a watershed management plan. But we need the next grant if we're going to have some help with either paving that road or engineering it in a way that it does not cause so much. Well, it's just dust going into the lake.
Right, and it's a little unusual that you would want a road that close to the lake to be paved, but it has been identified as being a major contributor to what's being carried in there. So, the thought is pitching it, if that is something that the town wants, there would be money for that with another grant that would pay a huge part of the grant, of that work. It could be something other than paving. It could be a different type of material being put on there, and possibly narrowing it.
And sloping it differently.
We did talk to David about narrowing it up a bit too, because it doesn't have much of a buffer there. So, so for us to be able to move forward and hope to do something with that, we need to finish this up and make sure that we meet the match. They've been very willing. Like I said, this is the third grant. The reason is, as Joyce mentioned, it's accelerating at a much higher rate than the other lakes within the state are. So they're concerned about it. It's something that they want to nip it in the bud now, because the annual lake testing keeps showing that it's aging quicker than most. So that's not a good thing. Just because the levels aren't bad yet, they're going too quick. So it's going to be bad before long. So they've been very willing to say, yes, let's keep going, let's do the next step.
So there are a couple of other things I wanted to mention. One of which is that the lake, the road has become wider and wider and wider because of grading and because of it just happens. It just moves. So we're trying to rebuild the buffer as well. This particular project that we did does not rebuild the buffer, but we're hoping to put down some materials along. David said it was a very viable road at 20 feet wide, and so the idea is to create a way for the to take up the essential gravel and be able to plant plants as we did there. Some other plants perhaps more natural, or to allow them to grow. And in order to do that, what we'd like to ask the town if we could stake off part of the road so that there's a lot of people who walk there, I'm sure you're aware, during the summer especially. And so therefore, it would be well to give them a safe place to walk. And they could walk on a certain kind of grass or on some of this.
We have a special erosion control mix. It's a mulch. It's very coarse. It's made from logging byproducts, stumpage, dirt, other things, and it's so coarse that it really lays down on the right ground with proper measurement, and the measurements were done by John Mann. And, we have the 20-foot width. We could put just that mulch down and stake that border between the lake and the edge of the road. And that should, it's not going to keep the dust down, but it will help delineate that buffer and the width of the road.
Correct.
It'll minimize runoff.
So, what are the thoughts on Kelsey?
I think that Councilman Farrar, some you could keep the dust down.
The only reason I ask, and we go through there, if you do 5 miles an hour, it's a dust storm.
Yeah.
And I feel bad for people who live down there.
Yeah.
But
And
that's
people
part of the
don't
problem
do
when it's
5
late.
miles. They do
Exactly.
35.
And by your places it does.
Yeah.
So, and I think that people who live on Pinecliff Road are pretty much in agreement to do it, correct? No, that paving it would be a good idea.
Does the calcium, is that going to affect anything? I mean,
I
the reason I ask is we have the ability to spread that.
Yeah, I'm not an environmental scientist, so I don't know that I can answer that appropriately. I know that,
The literature suggests that it's not good for the lake.
and it would have to be done so often, it's such a fine particle that's on the road.
But it bonds it.
Right.
It bonds that upper
It
layer.
works. It works.
It works.
And
I know
what would
Marlowe
be
just spread
worse?
it,
Yeah.
and their roads are much better.
I mean, the clouds and clouds of dust that go into that lake
Maybe
and
that's
travel like hundreds of feet into the lake.
right.
Is that a question you can take away?
We can look into what calcium chloride does.
Right.
It's a salt. It may have, if it erodes into the lake frequently, it depends on how frequently you apply the stuff. If you have to do it a lot, it's like salting the road and then having it wash in.
I went fishing out there on my boat last night, and she is correct. I mean, it's 100 feet.
Oh, I get it. It's tremendous,
And
yeah.
I think you may find that there's more organic solutions that do the exact same thing as calcium chloride that you may be able.
If you guys can get an answer.
Yes.
I'd love to hear someone weigh in on that.
We should ask our
Yeah.
consultants to give us some, because they do a lot of work in this regard. And they actually, the attractiveness of a dirt road is that it is much more, the problem with it is that it does this kind of dust. One of the things that they've said to us is that a coarser gravel in and of itself would work better.
Right.
Because we use a very, very fine gravel everywhere, and it causes problems everywhere in the watershed because it washes down through into streams, and from the streams it goes into, I'm particularly aware of the canal, and then it also, the depth there has changed fairly dramatically, and I expect that that's moving into the lake gradually because water continues to come down. So a more coarse gravel might be a way that you might even be able to avoid the calcium chloride.
I guess where it seems to me is is this project does sound like it's accelerating. You guys are hitting every deadline and getting ahead of probably where we thought we'd be. But the town, the voters are gonna be faced with a question is, you know, there's gonna be some grant money that's gonna be applied to this we can get through environmental agencies. And some part of it's gonna come out of the town, and at least time of town employees is gonna come out of it. So what are all the options? Paving is certainly one. A course of gravel is certainly another. Sodium chloride may or may not be if it's environmentally unsound.
Calcium.
Yeah, what's that, what, table salt?
Sodium.
We'll salt the road. You know what I mean? There's gonna be some options. I think the Board of Selectmen should understand what all those options are, because at some point, we're gonna have to weigh in and say, we recommend or we don't recommend. I recommend.
Yeah, I've been around here a long time, and, you know, Pine Brook Road, you know, and anybody that lives on Pine Brook Road will say the same thing. You know, the town, they've been grading that road, cutting back to the furthest distance they can to make the road wider and wider. But the town hasn't ever done anything else to Pine Brook Road. I was told that, you lose an inch of gravel a year on a dirt road from wind. But nothing's been ever put back on. So this Pine Cliff Road is probably, you know, 12 inches anyway below the height it was 20, 25 years ago.
It's up the other way around for people who live right there. They got rocks, they can identify it.
Well, regardless, they haven't put back what they've taken out. You know, so the road's always, you know, they just don't put gravel on that road. The road's gotta be built up anyway, sometime, you know. They can't pave that road the way it is right now. It's gonna have a major overhaul.
That's something we'll definitely talk to David about and get his 2 cents worth. And like I said, I mean, undoubtedly, there's probably an order of preference in the solution from an environmental point of view. And we just need to know what that is so we can balance that against the.
David did say, as he walked it with us last year, that he thought paving it was the way to go. I don't know whether he still thinks that, but I think that it can be, because of its location right next to the lake, I think that that's the argument in favor of doing that. You need to put speed bumps in when you do that.
I was just gonna say.
But you know, if you put gravel down on that road, you know, like it should be done, like all our other dirt roads, I think it would be less dust. You know, because what we got now isn't gravel, you know, it's pretty much, you know, road sand, you know, for the highway in the wintertime, you know.
It's a finer,
You know,
definitely
and
a finer gravel.
they grade it, they can't grade it properly because they can't get down, you got rocks, ledge there, so they, you know, all they doing is loosening the top of it and filling the holes in.
I think it would be worthwhile checking to see whether they do put any additional gravel on top. I think it would be good to look and see whether there's a way to grade it less. They have said they will do it, but they really sort of need to know where to do it, which is why staking it would be
Yeah, so how tall of stakes are we talking about? Are we talking about something that's gonna make
tall
it
enough,
winter?
tall enough so that people can see it. And it may be that it won't be necessary as a permanent matter. It's really a temporary situation.
How about tall enough for a snowplow driver to see it?
To see, yes, that exactly would have to be.
Okay.
It would have to be, if the stakes themselves are not tall enough, that something can be attached to the top of them with
Either flagging or.
reflectors or things like
One
that.
thing you gotta look out for though, in the wintertime, you know, you gotta put snow somewhere. The snow's gonna go somewhere. If we have a big winter with a lot of snow, you know, the stakes, you know, the snow's gotta go somewhere, you know.
Ideally, you would want to put it on the
Yeah,
opposite side of the road anyhow, you don't want it going into the lake, so.
Well, there's training the highway crews.
Well, twice the wrong way. We can talk to David about that.
So,
I
what
know
I,
as much about snowplowing as I do about building roads.
So what we,
You're doing good.
for the protection of the walkers we think that it would be valuable to do something like this. for this
Sounds like
moment
it'd look
anyway.
nice. It would be a
It
nice
would-
thing to have. It's a
Yeah.
walking path.
Right.
You ride a bike on it? Or
You
just
could
a-
probably
it's a-
ride a
Depends on
bike
what
on it.
material we use.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think from a town's like, from the appeal point of view, it sounds like a great idea. It
Right.
sounds like it's pretty much covered in the grant money, correct?
Not in this current grant, but, you know.
Next
so,
grant.
That's
If we go forward with another grant, you know, that would be something we would want to consider.
I think it
Thank
would,
you.
I think it would be part of the match, Lisa. It would be part of the match to stake it.
Oh, to stake it now, if the town were to do that, then we could definitely benefit on
You have to get the
using that towards the match, certainly.
Did you get that?
The top. Turn it.
You got it right. If you were to put stakes on it, and we actually had some stakes donated to us, which may be too small, but they were donated to us, it could be looked at to see whether they would work. If they were put in with a tall enough, kind of protection between them, even like a storm fence, it would be temporary until such time as enough grows so that people can walk there and know that that's what's the purpose. Or it gets paved and that's, and it does, that would be part of a match. Whatever was spent doing that would be part of our match.
Yeah, this to me is where we really need to talk to David and we really need to, I think we need to understand the different preferences from their point of view. It's not a quick solution, it's nothing we can say, okay, we'll pave it. And I'm
No.
sure citizens will.
It's gonna take a while to get it paid, even if it were to be paid.
One of the questions you might want to ask David, because 15 years ago, he used to spread calcium chloride. And there was an uproar by some group at some point in time in front of a different select board. And the decision at that point was stop doing it. I've asked him, okay, he used to, yeah, right, he used to have chloride available for residents on Pine Brook.
Well, in the budget, it's set aside for,
Yeah, well, the budget mentions fluoride, whether he gets it or not, I know, but 3 years ago, we were able to get bags and we spread it ourselves, and it was fine, but.
Yeah, we're not gonna answer all these questions. We know that there is a money budget, for it. But we'll need to talk with David and really understand what.
The line item says salt and fluoride, but I don't think he buys fluoride.
Yep. And if you guys are working closely with David, then this is all gonna evolve into some plan where step 1 is staking, step 2 is a little bit of grading, and step 3 is whatever step 3 is, who knows.
Right.
We'll get there. Okay?
Right, and so, you know, I can pass these down, it's a single sheet and then a staple sheet for the three of you and you also. That just identifies the areas that, if it's within, you know, David's work schedule and budget, you know, some of it's just riprap, ditching, things like that. So those would be the things that would greatly help. The things that I highlighted are on the town roads. I think I accidentally highlighted one of the state roads, but it clearly says state on it.
These are the things that the survey discovered.
That was one of the things that was done as a result of volunteers going around into the watershed looking to see what areas had erosion. So I think that might be helpful if they could take a look at that. He may have already done some of those, and if that's the case, we can do that towards the match.
I think he has done some of them, and
Yeah, I know he's been working on trying to come up with. Anything else that you need to do for that?
Yeah, it's very helpful, I can't tell you how helpful, because, like I said, if we're going for another grant, it would be implementation, and that would be directly to do things at that point. We haven't had the ability to do things yet, other than these 2 small demonstration projects, because you need to identify what the levels are and what it is you have to do first, and now we're finally at that point, so, you know, like I said, we're not at a point where we need to be alarmed, you know, the lake is terrible. It's not terrible, but it's aging faster than the rest of, well, maybe not the rest, but many of the lakes. It's not a comfortable speed for DES to see it at our lake change, you know, from year to year that quick. So, you know, it's time to not ignore things. It's not time to be alarmed, but it's time to, okay, we gotta do this, this, and this. And it involves, you know, a lot of homeowners as well. And so we're gonna be doing a couple of things to try to get homeowners to be aware of what they can do.
All right.
Septic cleaning is one of them, so.
Are there any decision points that the selectmen need right now, or is this just
No, it's just to let you know where we're at with things, and to find out about the staking, and, let you know how, you know, about the match, you know, it's important to be trying to document that.
We need documentation, and I think there is, you have some.
I actually have all of that.
Great.
And I'll be, whenever it's all done, near the end of the year, I'll be coming back and giving you a report and letting you know how things went.
Okay.
See where we're gonna go from there, if anywhere, but,
Thank you.
So we want them to want to give us another grant.
I understand.
Report all those hours.
Yeah. We'll do everything we can there.
Yeah.
And then if you happen to find a Samsung Galaxy S5, it's about 10 feet down where there was an ice fishing hole. It's a nice phone, and they're supposedly waterproof, so
yeah, for how long?
it may still work, and I don't know.
What, do you know exactly where it was?
Ballpark. If you head like straight out from the ramp towards the island, it's maybe 100 yards shy.
Oh, the island.
Also, I wouldn't believe this, it's the, water survey report. I believe the town has a copy, it might be out.
You may have, you should have copies of that already somewhere, either in
Okay.
But that
conservation.
was the result of all the survey work that was done,
We have
2
one.
years ago.
When was that published?
January 2014.
The lake management plan was incorporated into the master plan, I think, a year or two before that.
Yeah, that was 2012, I believe.
Yeah, it's time to review the master.
Well, I read the earlier one, I just didn't know if that was a new one.
So we've been working on it for a while, it's been a good project, like I said, DES has really been, anytime we applied, they've been saying, yes, we want to help, so.
We'll probably review it later, so you can have all that. Can I take yours? I have the full.
Typically, they're very competitive grants, and,
When we review them again, we'll have all that.
thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank you.
guys. Appreciate you coming in.
Thank you.
Safe travels. See you around.
That's what we're saying.
Yes.
Yes, that'd be great, okay, thanks.
Okay.
We hope one of you will come to our meeting, it's very convenient for Kim.
There we go.
This is Nathan from Crocus Ventures, and he would like to present their idea about acquiring an agricultural field and getting grant money for that. So,
Good evening, everyone. Boy, I don't often come to a meeting like this, but I'm really impressed and grateful to learn that you all donate beautiful evenings like this to sit here and keep the town running and to take care of the lake like this. So thank you so much for your work. You guys going out to see what's going on. I have a few handouts. I didn't know how many of you there would be. Just a one-page overview of our project. So approximately, I don't know how familiar you are with our work, but approximately 10 years ago, Croker came to purchase a property right on the Marlow, Alstead town line. And our main office is right on the Marlow side of the line, so our address is listed at Marlow, but we now own as well a lot and a small house in Alstead. And we consider ourselves part of both Alstead and Marlow. When we came 10 years ago, Croker was really a youth program and a summer camp, bringing young people from all over New England and all over the United States to our campus where they head out on adventures in the wilderness. And the idea is to really fully immerse kids in the wilderness, cooking over the fire, canoeing down a river, climbing the rocks, exploring the caves, really getting the most essential transformative outdoor experience that is possible. Our work expanded to provide these same programs to schools, and there are schools from all over New England, even all over the country, and public schools and private schools where a school teacher will bring their kids to Croca for a week-long adventure trip. So for our first 5 years on that piece of property, we worked around the clock to build everything we need to take care of children. We put up teepees and lodges for the kids to sleep in. We built composting toilets. We built a barn for all the canoes to fit into. And we started our very first garden, which is really no bigger than this room right here. Because we knew that to live really on the land well, you need a garden to connect yourself to the earth. And after the first 5 years, and as we're growing and growing, we realized how important it was that these students not just come and take off on a vacation trip, but come and work, really learn to work as well, to provide for themselves before they head out into the wilderness. So it became part of our curriculum that every student who comes to Croca would work on the farm and do some work, milking the cow, harvesting their vegetables, weeding, and then take that food with them as they depart on their trip. Because you have to have 1 foot on the earth and 1 foot off in an adventure, so to speak. So then for the next 5 years, we worked hard to start building that infrastructure to have a farm. And we got our first greenhouses. The garden expanded from maybe up to the size of both of these rooms and then to bigger and bigger. We bought our first tractor. We bought our first milking cows. We expanded our chicken coop, and things are going great. Over the past year, we set our sights on building a proper agricultural barn. And maybe you've seen this new barn on Route 123 as you're driving past. And we raised the money right from within our own community. All of the parents and of the students gave it whatever they could to put this barn up. I'll start sending these photographs around. Right as we're finishing that barn, what we realized all of a sudden was that our land there on that little hillside was really not enough to provide the kind of farm we wanted. And that is a farm that can grow its own hay to take care of the animals through the winter, that can grow a long row of potatoes or onions to really feed not as many students as we have. We have more than 700 students every year coming to that campus. And so we had the vision of making the farm so healthy and self-sustainable that we could really, for as best as we could, feed ourselves and keep all those students working, have plenty of work for them to do. And so right at that moment as we're putting up the barn, we were out for a walk and we looked down the street and this piece of property had a for sale sign on it. And, well, the end of the story is we were too late for it. The original piece here had been bought by landmark land sales of Charlestown, New Hampshire, and subdivided. And maybe you know about this or not. And so at first we were crushed that this one flat farm field that's just a stone's throw from our campus, really the only one that we could possibly walk to, had been sold. And if you go down that street and down that neighborhood, you can see what happened to the farm field over the years, because you'll see lots with houses sort of right in the middle. You can tell there used to be a farm, but now there's a house in the middle of it. And sure enough, that's what we expected to happen here. But we approached the developer, and he was willing to try to work with us and gave us a contract to purchase these 2 lots. And that's the field you can see from Route 123. And right now we're working as hard as we can to try to come up with the money. We're a small nonprofit living just on the tuitions we raise from our students and on the donations we can make. So we don't have right up front the cash to buy this field. Tomorrow I'll be driving to Concord, New Hampshire and submitting a grant proposal to the state of New Hampshire LCHIP program. Maybe you're probably familiar with it, Land Conservation Heritage Investment Program. And part of that process is that I I want to be able to say in that application, they want to know that I've spoken to you, and that you would be supportive of Croca's efforts to get a grant to conserve this land. Can you pass the rest of these around as well? Thank you. And we've been working with the Monadnock Conservancy, who's willing to hold a conservation easement on this field. Anyone who goes for a walk there can see that it's a really beautiful field, and that they tell me that the soil there is the highest quality farmland soil that it is in New Hampshire. And if you know anything about farming, you know that drainage is important, southern exposure. It's really a beautiful field, and we would hate to see it just disappear forever from farming. And we would love to see students from Croca out there growing food and selling it and learning. So I'm here today just to ask you to think about it, to comment on it. If one of you would be willing to acknowledge with a signature that you approve and you understand that Croca is applying for this funding from the state.
I think we can talk about that, and I know that there were a couple questions Brock had or Tim had.
Well, I have a lot of questions, but I don't know. Have you actually purchased the property yet?
No.
You have a sales agreement.
We have a sales agreement that's just barely holding on because they're charging us interest, and we haven't met the original payment schedule that they had hoped for. We have put down a very significant deposit, but
there's been no transfer.
No transfer.
And is the land in conservancy now? No.
No.
So this would be going
It may be in current use. I don't know.
always in conservancy.
Is that what you were referring to?
How much land are we talking about?
We're talking about these two parcels together totaling 5 to 17 acres. 2 of the acres back here are wooded, so you're really looking at a 15-acre field.
And it includes the house.
It includes the house. We are actually renting the house from them right now also. The place was vacant for the past year or two, and so they welcomed us to rent it from them. And one of our farmers, a full-time, very mature, experienced farmer, is living right there. If you've driven by, you can see tiny